Borussia Dortmund seem to be one of those clubs that is forever the bridesmaid and never the bride. And when you consider that they have 8 Bundesliga titles to their name, 5 German Cups, and a Champions League, that statement might seem a little ridiculous. But compare that with Bayern Munich's achievements, and it's clear that Dortmund have been overshadowed by their larger rival, especially in recent years, as they failed to win the Bundesliga since their famous double back at the turn of the last decade. And now it's starting to feel even as if Dortmund's reign as the second best club in Germany is over. Xabi Alonso leading a stacked Bayer Leverkusen side to their first Bundesliga title in the club's history. But it's not like Dortmund don't have talent of their own. In fact, they're known for it. Jadon Sancho, Erling Haaland, and Jude Bellingham were just the latest crop in a long and rich line of talents harvested from Dortmund's farm system, which now contains the likes of Youssoufa Moukoko, Karim Adeyemi, Cole Campbell, Jamie Bino-Gittins, Julian Duranville, among others. And we'll be trying to leverage those young talents to take Dortmund to the very top, not just to reclaim the mantle as Bayern's main rivals, but perhaps even to surpass them and become the best club in all of Germany. But it won't be easy. If you're new to the channel, we like to keep things as realistic as possible here, and the main way we'll be doing that is by using Buzzko's CoreDNA career mode companion tool, but more on that shortly. We'll also be setting ourselves some fairly strict club policies in keeping with the way Dortmund tend to do business, and we'll be setting ourselves custom objectives with consequences both positive and negative to keep us in check. To replicate Dortmund's approach to the transfer market, we'll be selling one of our best players each season, and we can only replace him with a single first team player. And although we'll be playing with instant scouting, we can only buy players from countries that we've assigned a scout to. Not only that, but the star rating of each scout also dictates the caliber of player that we can target. As for our custom objectives, we'll be trying to re-qualify for Europe next season via the Bundesliga. If we do that, it's business as usual and we can sign a first team player. However, if we fail to do so, we'll have to sell 2 top players rather than just the one. We're also trying to reach the quarterfinal stage of the Champions League. If we do that, then we can depart from our usual transfer policy and keep hold of all of our top players heading into season 2. But if we fail to do so, we have to reduce next season's budget by 25%. The Youth Academy is going to be a big part of the series, and if we sign 8 players with 85 potential or more to our Youth Academy this season, we can hire a 5-star youth scout. But if we fail to do so, we'll have to reduce our Youth Academy's productivity by half. And we'll also be looking to improve the young players in our own squad, aiming to contribute 8 goals and assists with Jamie Bino-Gittins over the second half of the season. If we manage to do that, we'll give him a new contract and a bigger role in the squad. If we don't, we'll be forced to give JBG's minutes to Karim Adeyemi next season. And finally, in addition to those single season objectives, we'll also be working towards a long-term objective over the course of our first 3 seasons with Borussia Dortmund. And that objective is, of course, to win the Bundesliga. And the reward we get for managing to do that will decrease the longer it takes us to achieve that objective. And if we don't manage to achieve it within 3 seasons, we'll be losing our job. Today's video is sponsored by Enigma Football, the UK's leading supplier of football shirt mystery boxes. Whether you're looking for a fun way to expand your own football shirt collection, or you're looking for a unique gift for the diehard football fan in your life, Enigma Football have got you covered. Their mystery boxes start at just $34.99, which is almost half the standard retail price. And you can be 100% sure that their shirts are authentic because they get them straight from the clubs and manufacturers themselves. And you can reduce that price even further by using code LAMBZY at the checkout for 10% off your first order. That code applies to any single football shirt mystery box, and it also applies to the first month of any mystery box subscription package, where you'll receive a fresh new shirt on your doorstep every single month. You can be sure you'll get a shirt that you like too. You can ask Enigma Football to send you a shirt from a specific league with a specific color or pattern, or to avoid certain teams. And if you still don't like what they send, you have 60 days to either return or exchange it. So head over to Enigma Football and place your order today. The link is in the description, and be sure to use code LAMBZY at the checkout for 10% off your first order. Shout out to Enigma Football for sponsoring the video and for hooking me up with a couple of shirts, including a Dortmund shirt for this series. Now let's get back to the video. Now, as I said, we try and keep things as realistic as possible here on the channel. So we'll play through one calendar month in each episode of this series. We'll feature one full game per episode where you'll see every kick of the ball in a match of 10-minute halves using full manual controls and my realistic slider set. I'll then play 2 to 3 additional games and show you the highlights, and we'll quick sim any remaining fixtures. And we'll also be utilizing version 2 of Buzzko's CoreDNA Career Mode Companion tool. CoreDNA is a comprehensive and fully interactive online companion sheet designed to make your career mode saves more realistic through a series of tools, rules, and restrictions. It features realistic buying and selling calculators to determine whether your transfers are realistic. It determines a more realistic budget for you at the start of each season, and it features a tab for all of your backroom staff, your scouting department, and your youth academy. But its primary feature is the CoreDNA skill tree, which allows you to use DNA and trait points to unlock the ability to complete certain actions in game, such as hiring coaches and scouts, assigning training and development plans to your players, and expanding your power in the transfer market. The skill tree itself is broken down into 7 strands. Culture, where we've spent 7 DNA points, each of which gives us an extra trait point, and we've spent 3 of those trait points to make it easier to sign young players from overseas. The philosophy trait, for example, giving us a boost in the realistic buying calculator when targeting players under 20, market focus doing the same for non-domestic players. We've only assigned the default 1 DNA point to the operation strand, but we have unlocked the penny pinching trait, which expands our budget each season by writing off various expenses. We've assigned 6 DNA points to the recruitment strand, which allows us to hire 6 members of staff to our back room, and we've unlocked the common tongue trait, which boosts our ability to sign German players. We've assigned 3 DNA points to the employment strand, giving us a little more flexibility in the transfer market, and we've assigned a huge 7 DNA points to the development strand, unlocking 7 additional development plans and allowing us to unlock a variety of traits that will further improve our coaching department. But it's networking and academy where we've invested the most. We've invested a massive 9 DNA points in networking and unlocked every trait currently available to us, which pretty much means we can send our scouts almost wherever we want, and the caliber of scouts we can hire is improved. And we've maxed out the academy strand, vastly expanding our ability to sign young, high potential prospects to our academy. Best in class means we can automatically sign players with up to 80 potential. Grassroots football and frontrunner increase our chances of signing players with 81 or more potential. And most importantly, the special one means we're guaranteed to sign 1 prospect of any potential once per season. And we do already have a number of pretty exciting prospects in our academy. Louis Waters is just 5'11", but is a 66 overall at just 17 years of age and has solid potential. Johannes Schäfer doesn't look to be a particularly high potential prospect, but is versatile with left back, centre back, and CDM on his list of possible positions. Raphael Schubert again has left midfield and left back, much higher potential with a couple of play styles as well. Thomas Davey looks to be solid enough, 61 overall at 16 years of age. 70 to 94 is a broad potential range, but if he can hit that top end, he could be a very useful player indeed. Brandon Naylor is just 4'10", but very much has the ability to grow, not just physically, but in terms of his overall, has 78 to 94 potential, even if he is just a 54 overall at this stage, and he has 4 play styles: dead ball, pinged pass, first touch, and quick step. So he could develop into a really exciting prospect, as could Charles Massey, a 61 overall left winger at just 16 years of age, but 76 to 94 potential with 5 really useful playstyles: incisive pass, tiki-taka, rapid, first touch, acrobatic, and 82 pace, 64 dribbling already. As for the first team squad, we've got an excellent starting 11. Kobel in goal is just incredible. We have Jan Kuto at right back, currently on loan from Manchester City. We have Serla and Schlotterbeck, our starting centre-backs at this point. Benzabaini will start at left back for us. We have Emre Can and Sabitzer at CDM. We have Doniel Marlin on the right. We have Jamie Bino Gittins on the left. And Julian Brand supporting Guirassy up front. However, it's depth where this squad is lacking. We do have Anton, who is a perfectly serviceable centre-back. Ryerson, who can play right or left back. We have Pascal Gross. We have Lucas Metcher. We have Giovanni Reina, Karim Adeyemi, and Max Bayer. all youngsters. But beyond that, we don't have too much. And remember, this is a team that's going to be taking on not only the Bundesliga, but the Champions League this season. And of course, we want to be making deep runs in Europe and in the German Cup going forward. So we're certainly going to have to add a bit more depth if we're going to be seriously competitive in Season 2 and Season 3. And finally, in addition to the youngsters that we have already mentioned, like Cole Campbell, like Julian Duranville, there are a handful of other young players in the squad that we are going to be looking to develop. Daniel Buzzko is a 19-year-old Polish striker with 76 pace and excellent finishing at just 19 years of age. David Wilhelmsson is a 20-year-old centre-back, 6'4", 198 with 72 physical. We'll certainly be looking to him to provide a little bit more depth behind the likes of Schlotterbeck, Serla and Anton. And finally, Sadiq Adetola is a right-back, very much in the mould of Trent Alexander-Arnold. So as we pick things up in January, we currently find ourselves in 8th position in the Bundesliga on 25 points. The table is going to look slightly different from real life because I wasn't able to use the live start point for a couple of reasons. I did, however, simulate all of Borussia Dortmund's games until I got the same results as in real life. Not necessarily the exact same scoreline, but win, loss or draw, our record is exactly as it is in real life. We have 6 games to get to in today's episode. We'll kick things off with a featured game at home against Bayer Leverkusen. I'll show you highlights of our trip to Eintracht Frankfurt, as well as our trip to Bologna in the Champions League, and we will quick sim games against Holstein, against Werder Bremen, and against Shakhtar Donetsk. We do, of course, also have the January transfer window to get to, but we'll be saving that for episode 2. So if there are any realistic signings you think we could make here in January, drop those names down in the comments below, and we will potentially make a deadline day signing or two in episode 2. We will, of course, have to field offers for our own players here in episode 1, including this 80 million euro offer for Nico Schlotterbeck from Tottenham. So each time we send or receive a transfer offer, we'll be putting it through the CoreDNA realistic buying or selling calculators, which fortunately on this occasion has determined that we can reject the bid because the player's valuation has not been met. And although 80 million euros is a lot of money, Schlotterbeck is just 25 years old, already an 85 overall, and still has room to grow. And he will be a key player for us at the heart of our defense, and hopefully we see that in our first game of the series against Bayer Leverkusen. So without further ado, let's head over to Signal Iduna Park to take on the reigning champions of the Bundesliga. So on paper, there aren't too many tougher matchups to kick off the series than the reigning Bundesliga champions Bayer Leverkusen. Bayern Munich potentially, as they already look to get in down the right-hand side. It's a good challenge from Ben Zabani, though. However, on paper, as strong as Leverkusen's squad is, I think we're going to do okay today. I think tactically we're set up to exploit Leverkusen, to be honest. They are playing with those 3 centre-backs, as we already find Guirassy and Jamie Bino-Gittens. The ball does fall to him, and Daniel Marlin is open on the right-hand side. He is onside. Guirassy brings the ball down in the box, can't get the shot away. And Radetzky can clear. But I think we're going to be able to exploit the flanks thanks to those 3 narrow centre-backs in Tapsoba, and Hincapie. And I'm not sure that the wide midfielders for Leverkusen are going to be dropping in to defend. So I think particularly down our right-hand side, where we have Jan Couto overlapping Daniel Marlin. I will go over the tactics in detail, probably in episode 2. But we have Daniel Marlin on inside forwards. And we have Jan Couto set to overlap, as he is doing here. And Daniel Marlin will get the shot away, parried away by Radetzky. Can we find Garassi? JBG is offside. But I think we're going to find a lot of success down that right-hand side in particular. We are playing how... He's literally not offside this time. He's literally not offside. Your hands cannot be offside. And that looked to be the only thing that was breaking the line there. But we do have asymmetrical tactics. Jan Couto overlapping on the right-hand side, but our left-back Ben Zabani, more of a traditional fullback, will just sit in and form a back 3 when Couto gets forward. Oh, this is really nicely worked from Leverkusen, though. What a move. What a move. And Florian Wirtz puts them ahead almost with their first attack of the game. That is where Leverkusen are going to cause problems for us going forward. I think we can test them when we attack, but they are certainly going to be testing us when they start to move the ball. Amin Adli, the top goal scorer in the Bundesliga at the moment, in game. I'm not sure if that's true in real life. Again, we did have to simulate up to this point, making sure that we got all of our results correct at the very least. So I'm not sure if Adli is leading the way in real life, but he's leading the way here in game. And Wirtz benefits this time from an Amin Adli assist to grab his first goal, his 4th goal rather, of the season. So we did have to simulate for a couple of reasons, as Jan Couto again in space. Can't find Daniel Marlin. Will persist though and find Julian Brand. So we had to simulate our games because one of the reasons is that we created a couple of players. Garassi in the box, turns it towards goal. Header goes over though. So 3 of those young prospects I showed you in the introduction. Daniel Buzzko, we created him in honour of Buzzko, who of course put together the CoreDNA companion tool that we are using. There is a link to that in the description, by the way, if you would like to utilise it yourself. It is completely free. It is completely publicly accessible. All you need to do is click the link in the description and then make a copy of the sheet, save it to your own drive. You don't need to request access. You don't need to do anything beyond make a copy and save it. That will allow you to edit the sheet to your heart's desire. Wirtz in behind Couto, there to meet him. Zabitzer gets in the block. So we did create a player in honour of Buzzko. We also created David Wilhelmsen and Sadiq Adatola in honour of a couple of members of the channel. So that was one reason we had to simulate those games, so that we could create those players. You can't, unfortunately, include created players if you use the live start points. The other reason we wanted to use the live start point as well is so that we could turn manager sacking off, or board sacking, they call it. That's a risky pass. Zabitzer thankfully gets there. I like to play with board sacking off because it just prevents you from being sacked for unrealistic reasons. And instead, we're going to be setting those custom objectives each season. And how we do according to those will determine whether or not we keep our job. Julian Brand. It's a good run from Garassi. We couldn't really drop it into his path, though. However, we can drop it into the path of Jan Couto, who can look for Garassi in the box once more. Head is clear by Leverkusen. Zabitzer collects the second ball, though. There's Couto once more. Already he's been influential. And he is on loan from Man City, Jan Couto. So we're going to have to make a decision as to whether we want to pursue a permanent transfer for him heading into next season. Of course, remember, thanks to that transfer policy that we are utilising, we can only bring in one first-team player each season. Dortmund don't tend to overhaul their squad from season to season. And instead they just tend to, you know, add youngsters who initially aren't part of the first team but who grow and develop. And they kind of promote players within the squad rather than overhauling the squad with external transfers. As Wirtz's shot goes over the bar. So that's the way we'll be doing things in this particular save. So if we do want to bring in Couto on a permanent transfer from Man City, I guess that would count as our first team player. I mean, I guess kind of technically he is already a first team player for us this season. I think it would be cheating a little bit if we counted him as a first team player for the purposes of our transfer policy though. Sabitzer tries to find Brand, but Leverkusen doing a very good job of preventing us from playing out from the back. As Kerbal parries the ball not away but instead up, and the header again is not away but instead directly up from Niklas Söller. Leverkusen pretty much allowing us the ball in our own final third, but as soon as we approach the halfway line, that's when they start to press. That's when they really start to try to win the ball back. Julian Brand, Emre Can, Marcel Sabitzer out of play. And actually I thought those wide midfielders not dropping in to form a back five when we had possession would work in our favour, but it actually seems to be working in Leverkusen's favour because it is allowing them to press us that much higher up the pitch. That is currently what's preventing us from really moving the ball beyond the halfway line, is the fact that they have those wide midfielders positioned pretty much on the halfway line rather than deeper. Sabitzer puts in the challenge. This is where we could exploit them though. Guirassy in behind. Donyell Malen finds him. He's got Tapsoba for company at the moment. It's a great run from Julian Brand though, and Guirassy finds him, and we're just going to have to strike across the keeper outside of the foot from Julian Brand, and that is exactly where we need to try and exploit Bayer Leverkusen. When we do manage to get beyond the halfway line and in behind those wide midfielders, it's going to drag those wide centre-backs out of position. It's going to leave, I think Hinkapie is playing at the centre of the defenders today, rather than Jonathan Tah. You would expect Jonathan Tah to be in the very heart of the defence, with Hinkapie on one side, Tapsoba on the other. It's well cut out by Benzebaini though. Julian Brand. Donyell Malen makes the run forward on this occasion, but this time it was well covered by Leverkusen. Söller. Couto. Malen down the line. And again, this is where we can exploit them. Donyell Malen against Edmund Tapsoba is a matchup that I very much like. And Couto can drive. And he just lost the ball towards Guirassy on the edge of the box. Unfortunately, Donyell Malen was convinced the ball was for him. I think if Guirassy would have found the ball at his feet there, we would have been able to get a good shot away. We are starting to cause Bayer Leverkusen a few more problems now. More good defending from Benzebaini, but he does lunge in and brings the Leverkusen midfielder down. And he does see a yellow card as a result. So Benzebaini more of a fullback on that left-hand side, as we said. Just kind of sits in and forms a back three and allows Couto to drift forward. I think that's a position that we would, or we should, look to improve as well. One of the weaker positions in the side at the moment. Both Benzebaini and Ryerson, who can also play left back. What a goal. What a goal, and we're 2-0 down. Who is it? It's Palacios. It's a fantastic finish 36 minutes into the game. Kind of a strike out of the blue. Kerbal couldn't get across. And what is it? 25-ish yards out. Maybe a little closer. Kerbal does his best to get there. But there's simply too much power on the strike. And he's probably slightly unsighted by Florian Wirtz as well, who took up a position. I hate these kits, by the way. Took up a position on the edge of the box and then ducked at precisely the right moment. So I think our goalkeeper probably slightly unsighted, as Palacios got the shot away. Too much on the pass to find Kuto. Yeah, I hate these Bayer Leverkusen kits. They look like Ultimate Team kits to me. I think they're really, really ugly. I really like all the Dortmund kits, though. We do, of course, have a... Oh, come on, man. We do, of course, have the Dortmund kit. Not this season's kit, but it's last season's, the 23-24 kit. I do prefer it to this season's kit, to be fair. Provided by Enigma Football. They actually chose Borussia Dortmund as the team for this particular series. If you are new to the channel, we've just finished a Crystal Palace career mode. Make sure you go back and check that out if you want to see a little bit more about what this channel is all about. 3 seasons of that on the channel. Guirassy finds Marlon. And again, it's Marlon versus Tapsoba, which is a matchup that I like. You have to get the shot away, though. Not too many other options. Straight at CoreDNA. And at the end of that Crystal Palace career mode, Enigma Football sent me a football shirt mystery box containing a Borussia Dortmund shirt. We didn't know it was Borussia Dortmund until we opened it at the very end of the Crystal Palace career mode, though. And in that way, they selected our team for the next series. Bino Gittens on the left-hand side. Can Marlon find him? Yes, he can. It's a great ball. Jonathan Tah lunges in, but Bino Gittens skips over the challenge. Unfortunately, can't quite manage to get the shot away. I thought he was going to be able to there. It looked as though Jonathan Tah had done enough to thwart the attack. But, oh my God, that's an incredible ball. And Amin Adli is in behind. Kobel comes out and makes the save. Waits for exactly the right opportunity to burst off his line. And that's a huge save from Kobel. And we could actually be in behind with Guirassy. Does he have the strength? Yes, he does. Gets the shot away. Straight at the keeper. But gets to the rebound and nods it in. What a turn of events. As Guirassy brings us within touching distance just before half-time. Seconds after, it looked as if Amin Adli was going to put the game beyond all doubt. Burst through on goal did Amin Adli, and it was a perfect pass into his path. But it was a perfectly timed save from Kobel, who burst off his line, and under the Superman challenge of Hincapi, Guirassy manages to get his head to the ball and nod home to get us back in this game on the stroke of half-time with the very last action of the first half. I thought we were done. I thought we were dead and buried in this game, because Amin Adli, top goal scorer in the Bundesliga, had acres of space and aeons of time to put the ball past Kobel for a third goal of the game. Huge save from our goalkeeper. Huge goal from our striker. And we should have belief heading out for the second half now. If you're enjoying the game and today's episode, please take a second to like the video. And if you want to see more realistic FC 25 content, be sure to subscribe, not just to catch the next episode of this series, but other realistic career modes, realistic rebuilds, slider updates that might be dropping in the future. And if you want to get ahead of the curve and see those kinds of videos before anybody else, consider becoming a 12th man member of the channel. Membership starts at just $1.99 a month and grants you exclusive early access to all new videos, with tier rewards scaling up from there, and including the possibility of being featured in my career mode saves. Thank you to everyone who is already supporting the channel through their membership. It is genuinely very much appreciated and helps the channel to run. But now let's head back out for the second half. I think it's hard to say that Leverkusen didn't have the better of that first half. I think they were better than us in that first period. Oh my God, that's absolutely disastrous. That is absolutely disastrous. Great challenge from Serla. And he does put it into the feet of Benzabaini. Absolutely disastrous. I was too focused on changing my tactics. And just ended up punting the ball directly into the shins of Amin Adli. Bino Gittens drops in to collect. So we do have access to a range of different tactics. Beyond the default setup, we have push, we have hold for when we are trying to get back into a game or when we are trying to hold on to a lead. We have counter and we have control. So we are sitting in with the control tactics at the moment. Just going to try and establish a little more possession in the game initially as we come out for this second period. But we will potentially progress up into the push tactics if we continue to be behind in the second half, especially if we are still behind around the hour mark. Daniel Marlin, but I think just looking to establish a little more control initially. So poor pass looking for Garassi. It was good defending by Tapsoba though in Daniel Marlin's defence. So we do have Jan Kuto sitting in at right back instead of venturing forward now. We do have Julian Brand dropping in to build up rather than staying further forward in that more traditional number 10 role. The shot, fortunately, a tame one, which Kobel, on this occasion, is able to handle. Marlin finds Kuto and Zabitzer. Emre Can. Bino Gittins. See, now we could do with a fullback in a more advanced position, but when you have the pace of Jamie Bino Gittins, you can go the length of the field yourself. And Garassi, the ball does fall to Garassi. It looked as though the Leverkusen defender was going to be able to get there and clear. But instead, Garassi picked in and stole the ball away. And I think these tactics are going to be an improvement because it is slightly more conservative. And I think we did allow Leverkusen a little too much freedom going forward in that first period. Well cut out by Jan Kuto. And it's going to be handball. So I think the primary goal in this second period is just to keep the scoreline 2-1 for as long as possible and then try and nick a goal later in the game. I don't want to push for that equaliser too soon and continue to allow Leverkusen the freedom to attack and to get forward and to cause problems for us and just end up going 3-1 down. Schlotterbeck steps up, can't win the ball back. Thankfully we do have plenty of players dropping in to defend though. One of whom was Sörler, and here is Marcel Zabitzer, who finds Daniel Marlin, and again we can burst away with pace. Not only with Marlin but with Garassi and with Jamie Bino Gittins, who is in on goal. Hincapie, the only defender back, and Bino Gittins levels the scoring. An hour into the game, we are back level from 2-0 down. And it is JBG. We set ourselves the objective of grabbing 8 goals and assists over the second half of the season from January until the season's conclusion, and he's got his first of those 8 here. Really good pace to burst away from the Bayer Leverkusen defender and really good composure to find that far corner. And now do we hold on to the point that we would be finishing the game with? Or do we try and push for the winner? I think the tactics that we are currently in, those control tactics, have served us well so far. We might drop into hold before too long though. I would be happy enough with a point against Leverkusen. We are at home. It would be good to kick the season off with a win, and Schlotterbeck just about gets there, stretching to make the interception. And it almost prevented him from being able to clear as the ball bounced away. Thankfully, does manage to just prod the ball away, and it's Jamie Bino Gittins against Jonathan Tah. And like Marlin versus Tapsoba on the opposite side, this is a matchup that I do favour Jamie Bino Gittins in, simply because of that pace. If we don't utilise the pace immediately, though, Jonathan Tah is going to be well positioned to put in a challenge, and that's exactly what he's done on 2 separate occasions there. Cut out well again by Schlotterbeck. I'm glad the realistic selling calculator allowed us to decline that offer from Tottenham, because I think Schlotterbeck is going to be an important player for us, not only here in Season 1, but going forward as well. Leverkusen undoubtedly looking to grab a 3rd goal to secure victory in this game. Emre Can finds Sabitzer. Oh, I wanted Daniel Marlin there. We may be able to find him here, to be fair. It's a really poor pass from Jan Kuto. But we will make a couple of changes here, as will Bayer Leverkusen. It's going to be Victor Boniface to come on for Amin Adli. So they're certainly not going to get any easier, even though the Bundesliga's top scorer is leaving the field. And we will bring Daniel Marlin off for Karim Adeyemi. And Felix Metscher on in midfield for Marcel Sabitzer. We will also switch Adeyemi and Jamie Bino Gittens. So we have Bino Gittens down the right-hand side now. Karim Adeyemi, the fresh legs, on the left. Julian Brand. There's Guirassy. Julian Brand once more. And no, his name is not Victor. Karim Adeyemi at the back post. Couldn't quite get there. And we will just find Jamie Bino Gittens, who has a chance to deliver into the box. We don't really have targets to aim for, though. Instead, we'll just find Metscher. And again, we will find Julian Brand. And Emre Can. And it's too much pressure from Bayer Leverkusen. And they could be in behind here through Victor Boniface and Hoffmann. Thankfully, we have bodies back to delay the counter-attack, though. It's a great challenge from Karim Adeyemi. How is that not a great challenge? He lunges in but gets nothing but the ball. Steals it away from, I believe, Jeremy Frimpong. As Granit Xhaka comes on in place of the goal scorer, Palacios. And I feel like the referee's completely bailed out Leverkusen there. It's a great challenge from Benzabaini. And manages to hold on to possession through Emre Can as well. And Karim Adeyemi just plays it through for Guirassy. We've got Hincapie coming across. And I think he's played it off Guirassy there for a goal kick. Sounds like we might have a corner, though. The Dortmund fans, the yellow wall cheering on their side. And indeed, it is going to be a corner. Looked as though the Leverkusen defender had played it off Guirassy there. We have a chance to take the lead late in the game as Julian Brand delivers. Sörler almost wins the header. Boniface for Leverkusen, though, who have a man down in their own penalty area. I think just about getting to his feet now, but very slow to do so. Take the throw in quickly, though. Papsabar finds Hincapie. And Garcia in midfield. I think we'll probably make a change or two next time the ball goes out of play. And I think we'll probably bring Max Bayer on up front. Another of those players that we are very much looking to develop over the course of the series, like Youssoufa Moukoko, like Bino Gittens, like Karim Adeyemi, who is going to take on Jonathan Tah for pace here, and he has got the jump on the Leverkusen defender. Jonathan Tah lunges in and brings down Karim Adeyemi, and I think it's just going to be a yellow. Not the last match. It's not even going to be a yellow. That has to be a yellow, ref. Not a red, but he has to be booked for that. But we will make a couple more changes here. It is going to be Max Bayer to come on for Guirassy, and it's going to be Anton to come on at the back as well. Nicholas Sörler, for some reason, tired here about 80 minutes into the game. And we'll just look to deliver into the box with Adeyemi, and it's put into a really good area. Forces Leverkusen to hook clear. Schlotterbeck providing some pressure high up the field, but does now drop back into his defensive position, and we will drop back into our hold tactics just to try and hold on to this point. If we can steal a goal in the final moments of the game from a quick counter-attack or a set piece, then so be it. But I think if not, we have to be happy to come from 2-0 down and come away with a point, and I think we just have to ensure that we manage to do that. Especially as Leverkusen do seem to be pressing for the winner, and they have an opportunity to win the game here, and as Kerbal makes a big save at his near post. Excellent save. Keeps us in it. A real opportunity to win the game there for Leverkusen, and I think Grimaldo is not exactly who Leverkusen would have wanted the chance to fall to. But it is one player that we would have preferred the chance to fall to. They could create another opportunity here through Andrich, though. Tapsoba, Boniface, Schlotterbeck to meet him. And Emre Can is there too. Benzabaini has defended very, very well today. So we need to improve that position. Schlotterbeck with the block, and Sörler hooks clear. Really hanging on for dear life in the final 5 minutes of this game. Julian Brand can't quite get the foot in. And it's another big save from Kobel. Teller managed to find Boniface in the box. And Kuto is just going to have to hook clear. And thankfully, Adeyemi wins the header. And it's knocked into the path of Adeyemi, who beats Robert Andrich, who is fouled by Robert Andrich. The referee does play advantage, to be fair. And look at the turn by Adeyemi. Lays it off for Julian Brand. Can he get the shot away? Yes, he can. Parried away by Radetsky at the near post. Adeyemi did so well there. Not just to ride the challenge of Robert Andrich, which again should be a booking. I've no idea why the referee isn't going back to show Andrich a booking there. And then manages to turn and lay the ball into the path of Julian Brand, who will deliver the corner once more. Head is clear again by Leverkusen, but Adeyemi wins the second ball. And Kuto is going to have to slow down Grimaldo here, who could play Victor Boniface in behind, and indeed he has. Schlotterbeck does well to delay the counter-attack. We just have to flood players back and make sure that we hang on to this point as we enter 2 minutes of stoppage time, and we could have the final opportunity here. Adeyemi, bound by Mecha, out of play, but for a Dortmund throw, and with 30 seconds remaining in this game, Adeyemi is in behind. Offside. Oh, he's gone slightly too early. And with that, the final opportunity of the game surely is gone. Boniface collects. The referee does blow his final whistle. We really should have had one final opportunity at the end of the game there. But Adeyemi going just a split second too quick. So we have a floating ball here apparently. And drifts offside. Lovely angle. These are some great scenes at the end of the game. A floating ball, a close-up of just a concrete wall. This is great stuff, EA. But I think we just have to be happy to come away with a point here. 2-0 down by two excellent goals, to be fair. Managed to work our way back into the game. Leverkusen, the defending champions. Incredibly strong squad. I think we take a point and be happy with it. A decent enough performance in our first game out against tough opposition. But we will certainly be looking to put more points on the board in the preceding games, including here against Holstein Kiel, as we travel away for the first time in the series. And although Guirassy missed a penalty, didn't prevent us from coming away with all 3 points. Nicolas Sörler opening the score in just 5 minutes into the game. Julian Brand grabbing his first goal of the series. And the same for Karim Adeyemi to round out a 3-0 victory. We'll have a slightly tougher test as we travel to the Deutsche Bank Park to take on Eintracht Frankfurt in our third game of the episode. And as we did against Leverkusen, we got off to a disastrous start in this one. Omar Marmoush finding Hugo Ekitike, who launched a strike into the top corner to make it 1-0 early. However, Frankfurt's lead wouldn't last long. Bayer was brought down in the box to win a penalty, which Emre Can promptly dispatched. And within half an hour, we were actually ahead in the game. Julian Brand scoring an early season contender for goal of the season. And an eventful first half closed with Van Aken being sent off for this challenge on Felix and Mecha. Maybe slightly harsh to see red. And from there, we pretty much dominated the game. Julian Brand in particular controlling things in midfield. He came close from the free kick, but continued to dominate in the second half, peppering the Frankfurt goal with shots, forcing a number of big saves from the Frankfurt keeper, Kevin Trapp, and eventually cracking the bar with what would have been another early season contender for goal of the season. But 2-1 is how it would finish. We had multiple chances to extend our lead in the second half, but we finished the game with 70-ish% possession, far more shots on goal than Frankfurt, and we came away with all 3 points. So a narrow victory against 10 men, but 3 more points on the board. Spurs must have had a scout in the stands during that last game, because after failing to pry Nico Schlotterbeck away from us, they've now sent us an offer for Julian Brandt. Now, because it's a player swap deal, we don't have the ability to accept it straight up, but thankfully, the realistic selling calculator on CoreDNA tells us that we can reject the bid, even if it was to meet Julian Brandt's valuation. So we can safely reject that offer from Tottenham Hotspur. However, it might be a different story here, as Paris Saint-Germain offer about 48 million euros for Marcel Sabitzer. However, again, CoreDNA's realistic selling calculator does say that we can reject the bid because the valuation was not met. The valuation that the calculator has is around 55 million euros. So for that reason, we will actually negotiate with Paris Saint-Germain. 55 million would be a more than fair price to pay for Sabitzer. If they reject, then we are more than happy to hold on to him, but we could make 55 million euros go a long, long way. They come back with about 50. We're going to stand firm at 55, and if they reject it this second time around, we will simply allow Paris Saint-Germain to walk away, and they do, again, try and haggle us down to about 50. We're just going to reject the offer. CoreDNA has determined we have a transfer budget of about 46.5 million though, so we weren't exactly desperate for that money. So we'll continue to monitor incoming transfer offers between now and the end of January. But for now, we have a Champions League match against Bologna to get to. Qualification to the knockout stages of the Champions League is looking fairly likely at this stage, but we can't get complacent. We do need to continue to get the job done in the competition. So there'll only be minor rotation to the starting 11 heading into this one. Ryerson, Anton, Felix and Mecha all coming into the side. This was a scrappy game in the cold and the frost. Neither team really able to get a foothold. Bologna were a disciplined, well-organized team as well. Very difficult to break down. So we were limited to really only a handful of half chances in the first period. And it was much the same story in the second half, not just for us, but for Bologna as well. And when Bologna broke through on goal in the 90th minute, it looked as if they might have grabbed a late winner. Kerbal, however, was strong at his near post, and the game would finish 0-0. And that leaves us with just 2 games to get to here in episode 1. Starting out with a match in the Bundesliga against Werder Bremen, where again, we are victorious. Emre Can, the captain, with a brace this time. And we will round out episode 1 with a final Champions League game against Shakhtar Donetsk. And again, we are victorious. And again, the captain, Emre Can, is on the score sheet. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. A hat-trick for the captain. So we've begun the series how we mean to continue, an unbeaten episode, which sees us rise all the way to 2nd position in the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich, however, are unbeaten. They're on 53 points already, 19 games into the season. It does also leave us in a very commanding position in the Champions League, giving us a fantastic chance of progressing to the knockout stages. So we will leave things there in episode 1, but we do, of course, have the closure of the January transfer window to get to at the beginning of episode 2. So again, let me know in the comments below, are there any players that firstly we should be pursuing here in January, and then going forward in the summer and heading into season 2, are there any players we should be looking at longer term as well? So as we said, starting as we mean to go on here in the very first episode of our realistic Borussia Dortmund career mode, and we'll look to continue that positive start into episode 2. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.